Your wife changed after that happened to Gyun. A formerly happy person, she stopped smiling. When she did smile, the smile quickly disappeared. She used to fall asleep as soon as she lay down, tired from her work in the fields, but now she would spend nights unable to sleep. She was never again able to sleep soundly until your younger daughter became a pharmacist and prescribed her some sleeping pills. Your poor wife, who couldn't even sleep. Maybe your missing wife still has dissolved sleeping pills stacked in her brain. The old house has been built twice since Kuhn's death. Each time you rebuilt it, you threw away old things that had been stacked in a corner somewhere. But your wife took care of the nickel basin, worried that someone would lay hands on it. Perhaps she feared that if it was mixed in with all the other items, she might never be able to find it. The nickel basin was the first thing she brought into the tent you lived in while the house was being built. When the house was done, before she did anything else, she would bring in the nickel basin and place it on a shelf of the new house. Until your wife went missing, it didn't cross your mind that your silence about Kyun must have pained her. You thought, what is the point of talking about the past? When your daughter said, the doctor asked if there was anything that gave mother a deep shock. Is there something I don't know about? You shook your head. When she said, the doctor recommended that she see a psychiatrist, you cut her off, retorting, who needs a psychiatrist? You always thought of June as something you had to forget about as you aged. And now it did feel as if you'd forgotten about him. After she turned 50, even your wife said, I don't see Gyun in my dreams anymore. Maybe now he's able to go to heaven. And you thought your wife was fine as you were. Only in recent years did your wife start talking about Gyun again. You'd assumed she'd forgotten all about him. One night, a few months ago, your wife shook you awake. Do you think Gyun wouldn't have done it if we'd sent him to school? Then she whispered, almost to herself, when I got married, Gyun was the nicest to me. I was his sister-in-law, but I couldn't even send him to middle school, even though he wanted it so badly. I don't think he's been able to go to heaven yet. You grunted and turned over, but your wife kept talking. Why were you like that? Why didn't you send him to school? Didn't you feel bad for him when he was crying like that, wanting to go to school? He said he would find a way to continue if we just enrolled him. You didn't want to talk to anyone about Kyun. Kyun was a scarf upon your soul too. Although the apricot tree was gone, you remembered clearly where he had died. You knew that your wife stared at that place sometimes. You didn't want to pick at your wound. There were worse things in life. You cleared your throat a few times. Only after your wife went missing did you think that you should have spent some time that night talking candidly about Gyun with your wife. Kyun remained in your wife's heart as it grew emptier. In the middle of the night, your wife would suddenly run out to the bathroom and crouch next to the toilet. She would put her hands out as if she were pushing someone away and scream, "It wasn't me, it wasn't me." If you asked whether she'd had a nightmare, she would blink and stare at you blankly, as if she had forgotten what she was doing. That happened more and more frequently. Why didn't you think about the fact that your wife had to keep going to the police station about Gyun? That she was rumored to have killed him. Why is it only now that you realize Gyun might have something to do with your wife's headaches? You should have listened to your wife at least once. You should have let her say what she wanted to. The years of silence after you had blamed it on her and didn't even let her talk about it, that pressure might have pushed your wife towards her pain. More and more frequently, you found your wife standing somewhere lost. She would say, "I can't remember what I was going to do," even though the headaches were sometimes so bad she could barely walk. She refused to go to hospital. She insists that you not tell the children about her headaches. What's the point of telling them? They're busy. When they did find out about them, she covered them up saying, "I had one yesterday, but now I'm fine." Once, she was sitting up in the middle of the night, and when you made a noise, her face turned stone cold, and she asked, "Why did you stay with me all these years?" Still, she continued to make sauces and pick wild Japanese plums to make plum juice. On Sundays, she rode on the back of your motorcycle to go to church. And sometimes she suggested going out to eat, saying she wanted to eat food someone else had cooked at a place that served a lot of banchan. The family discussed consolidating all of the many ancestral rites into one day, but she said that she would do so when the time came for Hyung-cheol's wife to take over the rites. Since she'd done the rites her whole life, she would continue to do them individually while she was alive. Unlike before, however, your wife would forget something for the ancestral rite table and have to go to town 4 or 5 times. You just assumed that this was something that could happen to anyone. The phone rings at dawn. At this hour, filled with hope, you quickly pick up the phone. "Father?" It's your elder daughter. "Father?" "Yes." "What took you so long to answer? Why didn't you answer your mobile?" "What's going on?" "I was shocked when I called Hyung-cheol's house yesterday. Why did you go home? You should have told me. You can't live like that and not pick up the phone." "Your daughter must have just found out that you came home." "I was sleeping." "Sleeping? The whole time?" "I guess so." "What are you going to do there by yourself?" "Just in case she comes here." Your daughter is quiet. You swallow, your throat dry. "Should I come down?" Of all the children, Jihan is the most energetic in looking for your wife. It's probably partly because she's single. The Okcheon-dong pharmacist was the last person to call to say he'd seen someone like your wife. Your son placed more newspaper ads, but there have been no more leads. Even the police said they'd done everything they could and could only wait for someone to call. But your daughter went from hospital to hospital each night, checking on every patient without family. No, just call if you hear anything. If you'd rather not be alone, come back up, Father, or ask Aunt to come to stay with you. Your daughter's voice sounds strange, as if she has been drinking. It sounds as if she's slurring her words. Have you been drinking? Just a couple of drinks. She's about to hang up. Drinking until these morning hours? You call her name urgently. She answers, her voice low. Your hand holding the phone grows damp. Your legs give away. That day, your mother wasn't well enough to go to Seoul. We shouldn't have gone to Seoul. The day before, she had a headache and rested her head in a basin filled with rice. She couldn't hear anything calling her. She couldn't hear anyone calling her. At night, I found her with her head in the freezer. She was in a lot of pain. Even though she forgot to make breakfast, she said we had to go to Seoul. You were all waiting for us, but I should have said no. I think my judgment is getting worse because I'm old. One part of me thought this time in Seoul, we would force her to go to hospital. And with someone like that, I should have held on to her. I didn't treat her like a sick person. And as soon as we got to Seoul, I just walked ahead. My old habit just took over. That's how it happened. The words you couldn't say to your children spill out of your mouth. Father, you listen. I think everyone's forgotten about Mother. Nobody's calling. Do you know why Mother had such a headache that day? It's because I was a bitch. She said so. Your daughter's voice slurs. Your mother did? Yes. I didn't think I could come to the birthday party, so I called from China and asked what she was doing, and she said she was pouring liquor into a bottle. For the youngest, you know, he likes to drink. I don't know. It wasn't even worth it, but I got so angry. He really has to stop drinking. Mother was bringing it because it's something her baby likes. So I said to Mother, don't take that heavy thing. If he drinks it and makes a scene, it's going to be your fault. So please be smart about it. Mother said weakly, you're right, and said she would go into town and get some rice cakes. She always gets rice cakes for your birthday. So I said, don't. Nobody eats those rice cakes anyway. And we just take them home and put them in the freezer. I told her not to act like a country bumpkin. She should just go to Seoul without taking anything. She asked me if I really stuck all the rice cakes in the freezer. So I said, yes. I even have some that are 3 years old. And she cried. I asked, Mother, are you crying? And she said, you are a bitch. I told her all that so things would be easier for her. When she called me a bitch, I think I went a little crazy. It was really hot in Beijing that day. I was so angry and I yelled, Fine, I hope you're happy that you have a bitch for a daughter. Okay, I'm a bitch. And hung up on her. You're silent. Mother hates it when we yell, and we always yell at her. I was going to call and apologize, but I forgot because I was doing a million things at once, eating and sightseeing and talking to people. If I had called and apologized, she wouldn't have had such a bad headache. And then she would have been able to follow you around. Your daughter is crying. Jihan, she is quiet. Your mother was very proud of you. What? If you were in the newspaper, she folded it and put it in her bag and took it out and looked at it again and again. If she saw someone in town, she took it out and boasted about you. She's silent. If someone asked what her daughter did, she said you wrote words. Your mother asked a woman at a Hope House orphanage in Namsandong to read her your book. Your mother knew what you wrote. When that woman read to her, mother's face brightened and she smiled. So whatever happens, you have to keep writing well. There's always the right time to say something. I lived my life without talking to your mother, or I missed the chance, or I assumed she would know. Now I feel like I could say anything and everything, but there's nobody to listen to me, Jihan. Yes? Please look after your mother. You pressed the phone closer to your ear, listening to your daughter's forlorn cries. Her tears seem to trickle down your phone line. Your face becomes marred with tears. Even if everyone in the world forgets, your daughter will remember that your wife truly loved the world and that you loved her.